Good afternoon. Welcome to our town hall. If anyone has their cell phones, if you can silence them, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And does anyone have a mission moment they would like to share? Anyone want to talk about that luau last night? That was our mission moment in our directors meeting, and unfortunately, our Joaquin and Dan weren't there to hear it. But yeah, what a group effort. What a team effort. Yeah, it was wonderful. Boy, that pork was good. That's a friend of Joaquin's from South Carolina. Yeah, that started at 3 a.m. out here smoking it. Yeah. Yeah.
To the extent we can have two of these, I assume, to do this. But I've thought about this all week, but I also want to give a heads up for a fantastic job being done by the groundskeeping squad. Seeing what they're doing outside every day, Ashley out there weeding everything to do this, Joshua going around, and then the people from groundskeeping from Barton and Company were here to do this. But it's really very impressive what they're doing.
Thank you very much, Michael. And that leads me right into our SECA nomination, which is Joshua. Come on up. Thank you. That wasn't even planned. So Joshua may not know what this is all about. Come on up in front of everyone. Joshua, we do quarterly SECA awards, and SECA stands for Celebrating Caregivers. So residents can nominate team members can nominate team members, and family members can. So you were chosen as the new employee of the quarter. And basically thanks. Basically, it's because so many compliments and so many nominations. What you and Ashley have done on these grounds this past quarter is, well, in my 8 years, it's the best. And I know there are people that have been here longer that say the same thing. And it's not only that the grounds look good, it's both of you have such passion. When you look out, you can tell you're enjoying you love what you do, and it shows, and you're doing a great job. So we have a check for you for $50. Do you want to say anything? Yeah. We got to hold it close.
All right, so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all the compliment that Ashley and I are getting for the garden, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. So I'm gonna try to do my best to make sure the garden looks good. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Oh, wait, Josh. Oh, picture. We got to do a picture. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. All right. And next up, I'll go over the agenda after. It's just what Michael said just led right into it. I had to take advantage of it. Next up, we have the nominator of the quarter, and that would be Dan Kuiper. Okay. So, Dan, seriously, your check's in the mail.
I've heard that before.
$50. It's in the mail. We don't have it yet from SECA. But we tease Dan to start with in the directors meeting because every week we go over mission moments. Every week Dan has one. Every single week. So he's so good at doing that. But this past quarter, he nominated 30 staff members. And again, it's not always the number. It was a lot. It's not always the number. It's the quality. He did not copy and paste. They all were very individual, and you could almost figure out who he was talking about from what he wrote. So thank you for all that effort.
Can I say a quick word?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to give a mission moment?
Well, this is the mission moment. Joaquin and I could not accomplish anything that you may have seen us accomplish without all the staff who actually get out there and do the work and make it happen. We stand on their shoulders and we succeed or fail based on their performance. So I feel like they all deserve recognition, all 95 of them. I think I omitted 60 of them and only did 30. I'll catch up. But suffice it to say, we have a fantastic team, and myself and Joaquin both very much appreciate them, and I hope you do too.
Thanks, Dan. And isn't that a true leader? That gives a credit to everyone else. Always humble. Thank you. Okay, now our big one for the quarter, I saw her walk in, is Mac Mann. Where is she? Matt? Right in front. You made it to the front. Come on up, Matt. Matt is our clinic nurse. So, I got to get the check, Trish. So Matt, although she works part-time, she's very powerful. But your nomination was so touching. I should probably read it so I don't get this wrong, but it was from someone that had mentioned a resident that she sent out to the hospital and was concerned about the resident. And you know that our nurses follow up when you're in the hospital, right? The hospital was going to send that resident back without running tests. She knew something was wrong, and she pushed and nagged, and they did what she asked, and she was right. And they kept the resident, and she kept the resident from really spiraling down. So I think that's a huge deal. You got a great nurse here. Thank you. Now we got a check. And your check's in the mail.
I want to say, my name is Matt. I'm the nurse in the clinic. I want to say that I'm very. Oh, say louder. Okay. My name's Matt. I'm the nurse from clinic. I want to say to all of you that I enjoy working here, and I am very happy that I take good care of you, and I had opportunity to take good care of all of you. And I just want to tell you upfront, whenever you come to the clinic, and my gut, my assessment, my triage tell me that you need to go, please go. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Okay, now for the agenda. I am about to introduce our mayor, and before I do that, also on our agenda, we have Bill Sargent. Bill Sargent's going to talk to you about the Employee Appreciation Fund. It's that time of year already. Then Jeff Hughes is going to introduce Tom Suey and Michael Stevens from the Marketing Committee, and Ken Hopper. Ken, are you here? Ken has a few words too. That will be followed by Brian Patterson, and then last but certainly not least is Bruce Stewart, our chaplain. So if I could introduce the mayor, I should probably put my glasses on so I get this right. Okay, and thank you for coming. Mayor Leah Gaskins is the first African-American woman to serve as the mayor of Alexandria. She was elected in 2024 and is dedicated to building a healthier, more prosperous Alexandria for all. In Mayor Gaskins' first campaign for office in 2021, she was elected to city council with the second highest number of votes out of 13 candidates. Her many accomplishments during her 3 years on council include leading the charge in introducing the memos and budget memos necessary to expand access to affordable housing by increasing dedicated funding by nearly $5 million, to support Alexandrians' access to quality job opportunities through prevailing wage and labor agreements, to give public safety officer the tools like body-worn cameras that they need to do their jobs while building community trust and accountability, expand the availability of early care and education services, pass 2 historic collective bargaining agreements for police and firefighters that make significant increases in employee pay and staffing, and to fund critical infrastructure such as stormwater management and flood mitigation, increase transit options, and broadband expansions. Mayor Gaskins graduated from Vanderbilt University, where she majored in medicine, health, and society. She earned a master's degree in public health at the University of Pittsburgh and a master's in urban planning at Georgetown. And most importantly, Mayor Gaskin lives in the West End of Alexandria with her husband, son, daughter, and beagle. So, and they were here actually for the night out. So thank you very much for coming. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This water's for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is such a joy to be with you today. Yes, my kids and I were here for National Night Out, and I can tell you this was their favorite stop. I think they had hot dogs, popcorn, ice cream, and it was only stop 1, so we had a long night to get through. But we always loved coming here. It's such a welcoming and inviting community, and I appreciate the way you've welcomed me, my family. My husband was with us as well each year when we come. And so what I thought I would do today is tell you a little bit about me and why I serve, because I don't think I've had the chance to meet everyone here. Tell you then sort of what your council has been up to for the past 10 months, and then open it up for questions. I did receive, I think, 8 questions in advance, so we'll make sure that we touch on those quickly as well. And so for me, my story for service and the reason why I decided to run for office begins with my mom. I was raised by my mom in the city of Pittsburgh, and throughout my entire life, my mom has worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to try and make ends meet. At the same time, my mom has asthma, diabetes, sarcoidosis, 1 lung, and a number of other health issues. And so much of my childhood are not memories of us playing in the park or going out on special outings. It was actually a lot of times when I had to call 911 to make sure that we had the proper care and doctors to respond to my mom's situation. As I got older, the more questions I began to ask, because I knew a lot of people who had asthma, or I knew other people who had things that made them sick, but they were not going to the emergency room 10, 12 times a year like we were. As I got older and the more questions I asked and the more I paid attention, the more I began to realize that you can't manage your diabetes if you don't have food to eat at home, or if you're skipping meals so that your child has something to eat. And you can't manage your asthma if every time you go home, your house looks great on the outside, but on the inside, you're dealing with mold and rodents and other challenges. And so that was really pivotal for me. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. That's why you heard about all the majoring in medicine and everything else. And the more I got into my coursework, the more I reflected on my experiences growing up, my path shifted. I started thinking that I wanted to work on actually creating the environments where people live and making sure that no matter what your housing looks like, no matter what neighborhood you live in, you have access to safe, decent housing, transportation, grocery stores, jobs, parks, all of the things we know that are important to quality of life, as well as your overall health and well-being. I can tell you, I don't think I always thought that that would be running for office. Even now, sometimes when I talk to my parents, they ask me when I will become a doctor. So I think we're all still figuring it out. But ultimately, I felt that there are far too many systems and policies that shape our lives in every way that we move throughout our community. And I thought the best way that I could serve is I started by volunteering, and then I took a lot of those experiences and wanted to use them and use the relationships I've built, the community members I've met, in order to help shape policies that I think are better for all of us. So myself and the other members of the council, there are 7 of us total, were sworn in on January 2nd. In January, within a few days of us taking office, we had our first big challenge, which was a snowstorm. Within a few days after that, we had another one. And so the beginning was really learning on how do we make sure we have the systems in place and the staff and the infrastructure to be able to respond to new amounts of snow and new emerging challenges. We learned from that crisis that our 311 was not up to speed as it needed to be, that we were getting reports from people in our community saying, my street hasn't been plowed, but then we were getting other reports on the same street from our staff saying, but it has been plowed. And so it was a great opportunity for us to make sure our systems are connected and talking, and to make some changes and show that our government is about continuous improvement. If we don't get it right the first time, we're going to figure out how to get it right the next time. After that, within weeks of dealing with our snow emergencies, our community and our region was shocked to experience and navigate the horrific plane crash at DCA. We had over 40 of our first responders who were on the scene from our police department and our fire department. And so being there around the clock to help provide assistance in the search and recovery efforts, and then ultimately working to secure the perimeter and provide other public safety responses. From there, we then saw the introduction of a new president and many executive orders that impact our city and our region and our country. And so a lot of January was figuring out how to respond to those executive orders and trying to figure out what the impact would be on our community. I know there's a question I received later, but it's related to federal layoffs and our federal workforce. In our city, we have about 16,000 federal workers who work full and part-time jobs. On top of that, we have many more members who are government contractors or military, or others who work in businesses like hotels that plan meetings that rely on government business. And so a lot of the work of January and February has been trying to figure out how do we support those who are impacted by layoffs, rifts, and other shifts in our relationship with the government. From there, once we finally got out of January, much of the work was focused on our budget and sort of coming together around budget deliberations and thinking through how we would manage providing the services we need while also having a balanced budget and making sure that we're able to pay and be good fiscal stewards. We were able to pass a balanced budget. We made about $7 million in efficiency cuts, but we were also able to do some significant new investments in things like clean teams to go out and get litter from our streets to make sure that we have clean streets and clean parks, additional investments in public safety, as well as some increases for our school system as well. We also provided some additional funding for Meals on Wheels, Senior Services, Alive, and other nonprofits that play a critical role in our community. Since then, we've been doing the basics of government, everything from filling potholes to making sure that the things that you have questions about are responded to efficiently and effectively. We then went on summer recess. I am learning, though, that that's not really a thing, but we had a break for a little bit of time, and then we just resumed our fall session in September. From there, we've been focused on everything from the closure of the 200 block of King Street, and so how do we create more walkable and pedestrianized spaces that support our businesses, support our residents, but also support and activate tourism. I'm excited to share that for the first time, we are now $1 billion tourism industry, which is huge. That means a lot of people are coming and spending money in our city, and that's really great because then it also means that everything we pay for and provide, we don't have to do just on the backs of our residents who live here. We are also now ranked one of the, I think it's the second best small city on the East Coast. So that's a really exciting achievement as well. And now as we head into the fall, the major things that we will be focused on are our housing master plan update. So we have a housing master plan that guides housing policy across the city, and that is updated every so many years. And so this will be our plan from now until 2040. We are also continuing, we have not made any decisions about the pump station. I know that's been in the newspaper, and there's been a lot of questions about our waterfront flood mitigation project. We We haven't made any decisions about that project, but we'll continue to discuss into the fall and probably early into next year. We are also starting the renovation of City Hall. City Hall has not had any renovations for the past 60 years. We are dealing with situations where, our heating and HVAC systems are really old. Parts of the garage underneath Market Square are crumbling. We've had leaks and other pipe bursts and situations. So we're now starting to move staff out of City Hall, and we'll undergo a 2-year project to address that building and bring it into safe condition. But also the piece I'm most excited about is to make it a more accessible City Hall. I keep calling it the People's Hall because I want it to be a place where everyone feels comfortable coming and engaging with their local government. So that's kind of the fast track of where we've been and what we've been up to. I will take a minute. I just wanted to quickly address some of the questions I got, and then I will be quiet so you guys can ask me questions or share any ideas or feedback that you have. So as I mentioned, the first 2 questions were related to federal employees and specifically what we're doing. If you have not had a chance to look on our website, we have a new website which is focused on resources for anyone who's impacted by the shutdown. It covers everything from property tax assistance to payment plans or tax relief. It also covers things like rental assistance, food assistance, mental health supports. It's meant to be a comprehensive snapshot of all the resources and partnerships that we have available within our community. So that's one great place if you know somebody who's directly affected, if you know somebody who's navigating all of this uncertainty and just not sure where to turn, that's a great place to get started. The other thing that we've been doing is we've been partnering with folks like Congressman Don Beyer to host regional job fairs. It's been a great opportunity because it's not just Alexandria, it's Alexandria, Fairfax, Arlington, Falls Church, probably somebody I'm forgetting in that mix, but an opportunity for folks to understand about all the different potential opportunities that are available in the region and kind of create a one-stop shop so they don't have to keep going to every different jurisdiction, but they know about the many different jobs that might be available. We are also, through our economic development partnership, we're doing some work. We've heard from a number of federal workers in our community that when you've been doing one job maybe for 20, 30 years, it's really hard to then think about a shift to a new career. And so what sort of supports can we provide around mentorship, even apprenticeships, new business scaling models, resume building? So we're also doing some tailored workshops in partnership with Northern Virginia Community College. And then lastly, as a city as a whole, right now, all of our operations are continuing as normal. We have not experienced any significant shifts, but what we are, as we going into our budget, we receive about $51 million directly from the federal government. So we're doing a lot of scenario planning on what happens if that money is paused or what happens if that money is completely taken away. And we can't absorb that loss. I can be honest with you on that. And so trying to figure out what cuts we might need to make, what shifts we would need to make, and how as a community we'd put together some criteria or some questions we could ask so that it's a very transparent process for those decisions. The next question was related to the traffic signals at Beauregard and Fillmore. I can tell you this one came from Dick Bennett. There's a long paragraph here about the situation, so I won't read that. What I can say is that I spoke with our staff this morning from Transportation and Environmental Services. I think they mentioned about 2 weeks ago, technicians did go out to the site. They are aware that there is a malfunction that is happening that has been causing the arrow to skip. And so what has happened, it's starting, I think, next week. They're doing some tests around new signal timing and prioritization to see if they can address that malfunction. So all that to say, it's not solved yet. I understand the issue, but we have called in help. We're going to be testing some things. I'd encourage you, give us next week to test it out. If it's still terrible, send me a note and I can make sure you guys have my email or 311, and we're going to keep working on it, and we're going to keep bringing people out until we can get that light fixed. The next question was related to elevator repair and maintenance services. This one's an easy one for me because I can tell you we don't handle that as a city government. our role, we actually do not, the city of Alexandria government does not manage or oversee any property itself. I think sometimes we get confused with the housing authority, the Alexandria Redevelopment and Housing Authority, which does, but the actual city government, we don't have any control over that. Where we can be helpful is if you are reaching out to your property management and you're not getting a response, we do have folks who work in our landlord and tenant division who can help you with navigating, working with your property management and getting a response and your options. And we have a whole division that's focused on tenant rights, so we can help you if that's the case and you need some support there. The other thing that we have been able to do in past years is we do have some grants that we have done with aging buildings, where the city has actually helped them do some repairs and put in newer infrastructure. So that might be an option that we could explore. But I don't have any specific relationships with Otis or the ability to make it faster for them to come out here. So the next question was related to, has there been any recent discussion of council districts opposed to the current open council representation? So what this is in reference to, folks may or may not know, all the members of your council, we are elected at large. So we do not represent a specific ward, a specific district, or neighborhood. We are responsible for representing everyone across the city. We run every 3 years, and actually everyone is up all at the same time. So the members of council will all run for election, and then there is a separate election for the mayor. Throughout our city's history, there has been discussion about whether or not that model best serves the people. Personally, I think it does. So I have not engaged in any direct conversation about shifting that. What I have seen as to why it does is when somebody in my neighborhood, I live in Cameron Station, when one of them sends a 311, and it could be about a light, a stop sign, a fire hydrant, whatever it is, in most cases, what happens is you're not just getting one person who's writing back to you, who's responsible for that. There's 6 of us who have to pay attention to that, who have to respond to you, pay attention to you, and make sure that we are responding to the issues that you are navigating. I also think the other way that this has worked in our community is a lot of the issues we're starting to face now aren't just one neighborhood or one community. So if I take like stormwater and flooding, the places where you probably see that the most are in Delray and Old Town, but you're also starting to see it in pockets on the West End. As a community, when we were discussing whether or not to have a new stormwater fee and what that fee should be like, I can tell you there were places that probably would say, I don't flood, I don't want to pay it. And so being able to have representatives who could say, but this isn't a neighborhood problem, this is a whole city problem. If our waterfront floods, who doesn't go there? Tourist, residents. Who can't survive? Businesses. All of these other things come if we don't invest and support that. And so I think that we have a good model. I'm happy if others feel differently to continue to engage in that conversation, but I can tell you at this time, there's been no deliberate conversation by the council to change that. The next question was related to the high school and what is the current thought on leaving the high school as it's configured right now, because there appears to be a lack of efficiency and adaptability. I will say on this one, the decision about the high school model and so forth, that's mainly a school board decision. We have an elected school board that makes most of those decisions. I can tell you, though, as a council, we have been engaging with them on conversations about what do we know about our current school population, where are we at over capacity, where are we having challenges, where's there growth happening in the city, and how do we need to be thinking about potential new schools or facilities in order to support that. And that's everything from also how kids get to those schools, what they're next to, rec centers and other libraries and other things that are necessary to support overall quality of life and education for our young people. So I'm open to that conversation. I've definitely heard a lot of things that are not working, but I've been very clear with my partners on the school board that we hope to be a partner in figuring out what we can do. And then 2 more questions before I open it up. The next one was related to the council's goal of providing affordable housing. It says, what about quality? It says there appears that quality is often overlooked. Density is one thing, but at the expense of parking and open space, it makes no sense. Pushing residents to park in neighborhoods because inadequate parking is not available is a detriment to all of us. And charging monthly internal fees for parking forces more residents into surrounding neighborhoods. So a couple things here. One, when we talk about affordable housing, safety, quality, energy efficiency, environmental impact. There are many layers that we focus on for every decision. It is never just, I've heard this sometimes, but it is never just density for density's sake. It is never just build to build. It is how do we ensure that as many people who want to live, age, work, and stay in this community are able to do so? And then how do we produce a product that actually supports that? For every one of our developments, there are requirements for open space. For every one of our developments, there are requirements for things like public art. There are things like building efficiency. There are quality and code and different requirements to make sure that we're getting a product that all Alexandrians deserve. I would also say when it comes to parking, there is a parking assessment. What we have seen is a lot of what this resident raises, where we do a parking assessment and there are more than enough spots, but the private company, they may charge a certain fee where somebody says, I don't want to pay that fee. So then they go park in the neighborhoods, but then there's empty spots within the building. So it's not that council has said we don't have enough spots or it's not the right way. It's usually the decisions that people are making. So what we are doing is we're going to be doing a new parking analysis and trying to make sure that we are getting our ratios right in development. We also have staff that we have started a sort of landlord work group with, and we're trying to work with them on how they can be better neighbors and how we can work with them to make sure that their residents are parking in the spots that are assigned and what can that look like. So I don't have a perfect answer for you there. I will say though that our quality of life is a top priority for me and for my colleagues. We don't wake up to pass any building or any project that we think will destroy the city or impact quality of life in a negative way. So if there's something we're missing, let me know. But we do go through a rigorous analysis when we make all of those decisions. And then the last one, before I open it up, was why have all of the speed limits been changed to 25 miles per hour? Some roads do not have homes on them. Why not 35? Why have the stoplights never been timed correctly? So many questions there. So the first is in terms of speed limit changes. So we have an initiative here in the city called Vision Zero. The idea behind Vision Zero is that we want zero traffic fatalities. We want you to be safe on our road, whether you are driving, walking, biking, scooting, in a wheelchair, pushing a stroller, whatever that looks like. And so the initiative that we are focused on looks at that in three parts. The first is education. What education do bikers need? Do drivers need? Do pedestrians need about how we move and go throughout our streets? The next is enforcement. That's where you get things like speed limit changes. If people are breaking the law and you are going like 50 down Duke Street, that's a problem. And that's not safe for anybody. And we have to be able to enforce that. And then the third are things like engineering changes. So like speed bumps. How do you slow people down? All of this is because we know that if you are walking across in a crosswalk and somebody hit you at 35, that's going to have a much bigger impact than if they hit you at 25 or 15. It's not some intentional effort to make everyone go slow. Trust me, I have two very little kids who scream in the car all the time. I want to get places as fast as possible just so we can get out. But it is an effort to make sure that we have safer streets and vehicles moving at a speed that would not be as detrimental should there would be a crash. How we roll that out is we actually do a crash analysis. So we have data on how many times people have either gotten hit, but also how many times they've almost been hit. So there's near miss studies so that we understand how dangerous the roads are. And that helps us prioritize what those speed limits might be. In terms of the stoplights and so forth, signal timing has been a mess. Whoever submitted that, I agree with that. I'm excited to share we just got a grant for $1 million from the Department of Transportation through a partnership with Virginia Tech. And we are going to be working on a project to improve signal timing at, I think it's something like 40 or 50 different intersections. I don't have all the names memorized and all the places, but I'm happy to follow up with you on that. But just to say, we recognize this as a problem. We're going to be putting money into it, and then we're also going to be leveraging Virginia Tech and their data and outside expertise to help us make a more informed decision. So those are the questions that I received in advance. I know that's a lot, but happy to just open it up to see if anyone has questions or comments now. Yes, ma'am. Oh, we're gonna wait for a microphone. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate your talk. And I am a longtime Alexandria resident for moving to Goodwin House. Is it all? Okay. That can't get much closer than that. as related to your last question, are you also working with problematic signals where they're at the intersection of differing jurisdictions, namely Beauregard and King Street? On up as you travel up Leesburg Pike, you've got Arlington and Fairfax County. And on weekends, you can't make a left from Beauregard because the intersections are clogged because the two signals further up are backed up.
Yes. Yes, we are. And we're working on a couple different ways, not just on the signals, but something we've also seen is sometimes when people are trying to speed out of another jurisdiction, they're coming in here, and we've had issues related to drunk driving and other challenges. And so we're coordinating in two ways. One is specifically on the transportation side. And so we're starting to have regional meetings with transportation planners from Fairfax and from Arlington so that we can better coordinate the places where we cross. We're also now doing a quarterly meeting with VDOT, so the Virginia Department of Transportation, because we have some places like, the Telegraph Road intersection or other streets that aren't our streets, but we need to have coordination for any changes or improvements. And then the second place we're coordinating is on the public safety side and the enforcement, and how, if the speed is one in one jurisdiction, but then when you cross in another, it changes. How do we address that? How do we educate and create a better flow?
Hi. I've lived and worked in Alexandria since 1966. Is it not on?
Number one.
Try it again. Yeah. I've lived and worked in Alexandria since 1966, including at 1801 North Beauregard Street, and walked home from there. I'm concerned what the plans are for that green space running down the middle of Beauregard Street from King Street all the way up to Duke Street. Is that intended to be ripped out and turned it into a bus transit route like has been done on the Potomac Yards area, which is incredibly ugly? The housing that has been constructed there. There's so many people that live in the apartments along Beauregard Street, walking their kids to and from the two schools that are excuse me, are right there. So what's the plan for that?
I would have to, I'm always honest with people. If there's something I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. I have not heard any specific plan for that green space. What I can do is I can follow up and I'll send an email to Barbara and get you sort of exact information on that. That can be circulated to everybody.
It's come to my attention that the city of Alexandria is looking into the possibility of ranked choice voting. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So ranked choice voting is a process by which when you go to vote, you can actually sort of weight your decisions in terms of who you'd want to see as maybe your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. We currently do not have that as a practice when you go into the voting, when you go into vote right now. That's currently not a process that we have. Every year, the city puts together a legislative package. The legislative package is something we use to advocate to Richmond and our state delegation about different policy changes or opportunities we'd want to see. And so as part of that package, we invite recommendations from all of our boards and commissions, as well as anyone in the public can submit recommendations as well. And so we have since received several inquiries and suggestions that as a city, we should be thinking about ranked choice voting. So at this time, we haven't made a decision. What we are looking at is sort of how would it work? What would it look like to roll it out? What would be the cost? Everything in terms of, what types of machines might we need? What is needed for processing? What lessons can be learned from other jurisdictions? And then the goal is to compile a report, to work in partnership with our delegation, and then to put something out to the public to be able to respond to and react to give us guidance on how and when or if we should move forward. So that's where we are in that process. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Does Alexandria oversee the trees between Beauregard between Braddock and Fillmore? I'm thinking of the ones on the west end that I know some are being taken down, but you could tell where some trees have fallen and had to been have been chopped up and moved to the side. But on the other side, near the Nova campus, there are a lot of trees that are leaning toward Beauregard that just don't look healthy.
Okay. I imagine we do. I'm taking a note of the location. Let me have somebody from our parks. So in our Parks and Recs department, we do have a team whose their sole job is to go out and evaluate tree health, tree canopy, and all of those things. So we can go out and do an assessment. And if it is on us, then they'll make a determination on what they need to do. If it's not on us, we can get it to the right people.
There's also a drainage ditch that originates somewhere on that Cogier property that runs along the sidewalk there.
Yes.
And it is all plugged up with leaves and branches. It overflows and floods the sidewalk and turns the green grass into mud, and it's very hard to navigate that. And in the winter, it froze solid and just kept getting thicker. The ditch needs to be cleared.
Okay.
And directed to possibly the drain down by the college garage. But
That seems like a good job for these new clean teams that I mentioned we have.
and it's filled with litter right now too.
Okay.
Over here, here, way back.
Oh.
While you're on that topic of that green space,
Yes.
the trees on the west end of it are so totally covered up in vines that they're probably dead. There are some trees on the east end of it that haven't been completely overgrown yet and might be saved if somebody would get in there and kill the vines.
Thank you for sharing that.
I was just curious, what is our relationship, or Alexandria's relationship, or your relationship with the District of Columbia these days? They're in real hot water with the administration. I feel everything is very calm over here, but you never know. They're not very far away. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. So I would say that we have a relationship in a couple different levels. So the first you asked was mine. So I have started to build a relationship with Mayor Bowser. I believe that at the end of the day, we are all in the same region, and most of her folks who live there, they may come and work here, or they come and play here and engage in the same way that our residents cross over here. It's just we're just too connected not to be in communication. The other way that we all communicate is there's something called the Regional Council of Governments. And so that has, I think, about 20 or so different jurisdictions all the way out to Loudoun. And then you have Prince George's County and others in Maryland. And so there are a number of members of the DC City Council who sit on that board. And we have everything on subcommittees from public safety to health and human services. And so we're in constant conversation. We meet sometimes 2 to 3 times a month. Through the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, we were doing a monthly mayors and chairs meetings, of which Mayor Bowser participated, because we all need to be understanding what a perfect example is when there was the DC takeover. That may not have happened here, but it impacts here in multiple ways. One, I have many police officers who are also active duty military. When they get orders to go, whether they were getting orders to go to Afghanistan or they're getting called to DC, we honor those orders. So when that was happening, we were down about 15 officers because we have to honor for them to go over there. Other ways we saw that is we have mutual aid agreements. The ways in which when the plane crash happened, we all responded because we all have an agreement to respond no matter where an emergency is. And so understanding what DC's laws are and if they're changing or if they're participating in things that maybe we as Alexandria would not engage in, we need to understand that. When there were the removal of the homeless encampments, there were people who were brought to Alexandria. And so we have to be understanding then what is our response, how do we respond? So that's one. We have kind of official tables where we're all meeting. We then have work groups that have either staff on them or have elected officials on them. And then in some cases, we have official agreements for how we respond to emergencies and work together. But we are in constant communication.
Mayor Gaskins, 2 things. What is the city doing to harden its facilities against cyber attacks? And also, the other thing that is a personal annoyance to me is the electric scooters and bicycles that are scattered and littered throughout the city. I would, my feeling is that the business that runs those things should be more responsible. I know the users obviously are irresponsible in many ways, that they don't return them where they're supposed to go. But it's a public safety hazard for some folks. You know, they're lying across, you know, and we pick them up, put them to the side. But anyway, those are my comments, ma'am.
Yes. So starting with cybersecurity, actually just, what is this, Wednesday? On Tuesday, yesterday, we actually just issued a proclamation recognizing October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Our IT division, led by Vanetta Pleasure, she is actually working on, there's a set of new policies we've put in place related to cybersecurity, both in our physical infrastructure, but also across all of our departments and how we engage with information across the city. And so I'm happy to provide you with more, but I just am excited to say that we've declared this as an important challenge and issue for the city. We are putting in resources and staff to be able to go and do an assessment of all of our IT infrastructure, where there are vulnerabilities and where we need to make some investments. The other place that this is coming up is we are looking at our CIP, so our capital improvement plan. And one of the things we realized as we were doing that assessment, we have some systems that we've had. So for example, our rec division has a program that they've been using since 1998. And so there are some systems that we've been using so long that they probably don't have the security protections and detection that they need. And so we might need to do some upgrades sooner than we thought, or not use things as long without doing the proper updates. So that's a big priority. On the scooters, I agree with you. I talked earlier about Vision Zero and people being able to move. It's a challenge to move if there's a scooter laying right in front of you, especially if you have mobility challenges and you can't pick it up and move it to the side, nor is it your responsibility because it shouldn't have been there. And so some of the things we are doing, it's really on the enforcement side with the company. So we authorize each company to have a certain number of scooters within our city. We've been filing and collecting complaints. If you can't comply and you can't go out there and pick up this property, then we're starting to reduce the number of scooters that you have. So we tried with more of a carrot at first, and that wasn't working. So now we're doing a little more of a stick to try and get a better balance. And then lastly, we I think a couple months ago did a pilot with young people to try and give them passes to be able to use some of the scooters for free, because we heard from them that they want different mobility options. Every kid is not leaving school and going home. Some of them have jobs and other things to do. We also found that then a lot of kids were not following the rules of the road when riding those scooters, or they were just tossing them. So we're also working with ACPS to do some education in the classroom about scooter use.
Mine is not a question, but a comment. I'm very grateful to have a mayor with such depth of knowledge and obvious strength of leadership and commitment. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You've been very, very gracious with your time. But my question is, we are a city of very many cultures, and we have a lot of immigrants in our city. And can you describe a little bit how the city staff has been trying to help when the ICE is going into Chililagua and our other communities? It's a very difficult issue.
Yeah, no, this has been, I would say, probably the most difficult issue we've been facing as a city. I can tell you, shortly after I took office, the first place I went to speak was ACHS, and I was talking to a group of young people, and the question I got was, how do you keep me safe, like walking down the street? And it sits with me every night because I can't say to that child that I can. What we are doing are a couple things. One, I have been very clear in every statement that I get to make and can make, and in conversation with our residents in Chililagua, that we are a welcoming community, and we always will be. And they should know that their council has their back. The second thing is our police officers and our law enforcement agencies do not participate in immigration-related enforcement activities. They participate in the activities that they need to do and the things that they've been doing for decades, but they are not agents of ICE and will not be. We've also done some work where we have been doing an education campaign around our uniforms. And so our police are clearly identifiable when they step into neighborhoods. They're also doing some regular meetings in those communities to try and identify, this is what our trucks look like, this is what our badges look like, so people begin to know a bit more of when we're present and why, as well as we navigate community. The other things I will say are we are working very closely with a lot of restaurants in those areas, churches in those areas, nonprofits, on helping them connect to pro bono legal support, because there are laws around what's a safe space in your institution, what's not a safe space, what are the things the government can do, which is different than what others can do, and vice versa. And so providing resources around know your rights and other education so that they're able to protect their spaces as best they can. So all that to say, a lot of standing firm and standing in solidarity, reaching out and being present in community, doing education, but also being strong about the things that we will not engage in as a city. I probably have time for one more. If that's enough, okay. I don't know who said that, but case closed. What I will just say in closing is I did write down several locations around Beauregard that I need to get more information on, and we'll follow up there. I also have some very specific things we need to do related to the drainage ditch and some litter and some things that we need to get cleaned up. I try and be as accessible as possible, so I'll make sure and follow up that you have my email and my phone number if you ever need anything. But also, if you have a problem, I encourage you, put it in 311. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to use. But what I like about 311 is it gives us the ability to track it. I really want us to be a data-driven city. And so then I can go to staff and I can say, you know what? It took us 40 days to answer this. That's a problem. Or, great job, we did it in 24 hours. Like, that's the standard we should get to. So 311 super helpful, because then we can go in and see. And I actually get a report, probably it's too much, but I get a report every week on like every single topic that we received a 311 on and how we responded, so that I can help us understand what our response looks like. So we'll just reach out to you there as well. And then lastly, I know people often come with complaints or issues, but I also want to be a place where if you have an idea, I want us to be a city of possibility and trying new things. And so if there are ideas, ways we can communicate better, things we've missed, shoot me those notes as well, because that's also really helpful. So thank you for the invitation to be here.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor. It was excellent. Bill Sargent, would you like to come up and talk about the Employee Appreciation Fund?
As Sylvia just said, tough act to follow. I agree. It's almost November, and it's time for us to do the Employee Appreciation Fund again. Last year, we went $30,000 over the goal, which we had never done before, and so it was a great year. So this year, what we're going to do is set the goal a little bit higher and see if we can make the goal. So the goal for this year is $500,000. Last year, we made about $470,000. And the one thing I want to make sure you understand, we have about 380 employees that receive checks. I have a little over 370, and then there's some others we have to provide money for. So it comes over to something like 380 employees, and we really have about 370 residents that we're targeting for donations. Which you see what's happening. It's a one-to-one. You give $1 and someone gets $1. We really need everyone to participate this year. We've had about 90% participation in previous years. I'd love to get it up to close to 100 as we possibly can. Because if we do, we'll be able to make that goal of $500,000. And Dan talked about those employees, but even the luau that I've heard so much about and we all appreciated, there were a lot more than just dining services involved in that. And these are the people that are going to be receiving these checks in December. So please participate as best you can. Thanks so much.
Okay, Jeff Hughes.
Thanks, Barbara. I just have a quick item from the Resident Council. I've been asked to acquaint newcomers and encourage residents to remember the wheelchair volunteer program. There are frequent events that residents of the healthcare center and assisted living who have wheelchair situations really need some volunteers to get them down here and to other locations where these events occur. We do have good participation, but there's always a need for more people. And I encourage you to be in contact, if you're willing to do this, with Brianna Johnson, who is the Therapeutic Recreation Director in Assisted Living. On the second floor of the original building is where her office is. There is brief training needed. Just pushing a wheelchair isn't all that's involved. You need to be able to push it safely. So please step up and consider doing that. My other job here, a welcome one, is to introduce Michael Stevens and Tom Tsui, who are going to talk to you about the work of the Resident Council's Marketing Committee.
Thank you, Jim. First of all, I have the pleasure of chairing the Marketing Committee, supported by my able Vice Chair, Mike Stevens. I'd like to share with you the purpose and functions of the Marketing Committee. The first of all is to keep up with the Goodwin Living policies related to sales and marketing and keep residents informed. The second is to provide resident perspectives to Goodwin Alexandria sales and marketing staff. We work very closely with them, with the newly appointed director, David Taylor. We also help to the GHA sales office plan and carry out sales and marketing related events such as open houses. We assist sales staff to more fully understand life at GHA. In coordination with the Resident Council, we determine and convey resident councils to Goodwin House Alexandria, Goodwin Living Leadership. We hold monthly meetings of the Marketing Committee. It's open to all of you, all residents, and we meet currently second Thursday at 2 p.m. each month, which is subject to some change. We coordinate with the GHA Welcome Committee to ensure a smooth transition for new residents from first contact with sales to post-moving welcome and support. In summary, act as eyes, ears, and voice of residents on issues related to sales and marketing. We have any comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much.
And Ken Hopper.
Jen, I was not going to take my minute, but I will since you said my name. Jen, wave your hand. Everybody knows Jennifer, right? Look over your right shoulder. Yes. In addition to what you have known that she has been doing, she has taken over the planning and execution of all the trips and planning. You know, Alice Kale and Karen Thunberg did that for 2 years, and they're just exhausted. So Jen has stepped up to do that. But there's a little issue of time. So I hope all of you, on occasion at least, watch movies. Yes? You watch movies here? So that has always been a resident-driven committee. But once Howie Kaplan left, there has been no chair. And Jen has done 30 different movies a month, 28 or so, 30. She does not have time to do all of the research for that. So we need some people on the marketing committee just to do occasional research for those movies that all of you have expressed an interest in watching. So if you would like to help in any way, you don't necessarily have to be a member of the committee, but go to Jen and say, yes, I can help you for 30 minutes a week or an hour a week, whatever, just doing research on the movies that the committee has identified. All right? Thank you.
All right. And Brian?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just talking.
Under the rubric of acknowledging team members for outstanding service, I am very proud to have an award to present to a colleague. I'd like to ask Alex Freeman to come to the podium. We have, I often reach out to outside organizations when they ask for nominations for awards. And in this case, the Senior Dining Association, which is an association that we are proud to represent, be members of, and facilitate. I have a note here from the CEO and founder, Harris Adder of Senior Dining Association. And I will read it succinctly and quickly because Alex has to get to her kids. On behalf of the Senior Dining Association, it is our great honor to present you with the 2025 Dietitian of the Year Award. A recognition that reflects not only your deep clinical expertise, but the profound and lasting impact you have made on residents, staff, students, and broader senior living community. Your nomination, submitted by your teammate, yours truly, was filled with powerful testimonials from your colleagues across Goodwin Living, Inc. They all speak with the same unwavering admiration for your intelligence, compassion, collaboration, and leadership. Your colleagues describe you as someone who doesn't just collaborate, you build bridges. Whether you're educating care partners on diet consistency, training cooks on allergy awareness, or helping nurses interpret lab results, you are always there offering solutions, building understanding, and improving outcomes. Your work extends far beyond clinical practice. You host community tasting events, write engaging content for your community's Gazette, lead wellness education classes, and co-host vibrant cooking demonstrations with your culinary colleagues. You bring joy and purpose to food, and you do it in a way that brings people together. You also stand out as a mentor and educator, shaping the future of the profession. Your commitment to student development as a preceptor, did I get that right? For Virginia Tech's internship in nutrition and dietetics for over 11 years, and your extensive leadership within the Virginia Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics have made a lasting impact in the field. You model every day what it means to practice dietetics with compassion, clinical excellence, and unwavering dedication to people. You are the bridge between dining and nursing, between medical need and personal choice, between nutrition science and meaningful mealtime experiences. Alexandra, your work is exceptional, and so are you. It is with immense respect and gratitude that we recognize your contributions and name you 2025 Dietitian of the Year. The entire senior dining community is better because of your passion, your leadership, and your voice. Did you want to?
That sounds like you were talking about someone else, but I'll take this anyway. Thank you so much.
And she had a baby this year, too. Good afternoon. I'm Bruce, your chaplain, and I hope that by now you're totally aware that this is Food Month for Alive in Alexandria. And in the lobby, there are baskets, crates, where you can bring your non-perishable food. There's a list of suggested things that they like most immediately. And if you'd rather write a check to Alive, you can do that too. And in the memo, put food drive. You can put that in the chaplain's box. The food goes on the table. And I have registration forms. We have 15 people already signed up for the walkathon. This is the 44th year of it. And on this coming Sunday, we'll be meeting on the rooftop to get our picture taken and pass out the T-shirts that you get with your registration fee, and then you'll be able to do your walk wherever it's walk. Our team is the GHA Multimodal Seniors, so you can walk with just your feet, you can walk with your cane, you can walk with your walker, you can walk with your rollator, you can walk with your scooter, you can walk with your, whatever. And you can do that on the rooftop. You can go with a group that goes around the spire. You can go with a group that will go through the neighborhood, up Beauregard, down Seminary to Fillmore, and back around. There's also a collective people from the city gathering at one of the school, at George Washington Middle School, and walking in the Del Rey area. But we invite you, and I have forms, and there are forms in the chapel and on the food table as well. Thank you so much for your support. We've already got 15 walkers, and we've raised $1,000 for food already. Keep it going. We're doing it all through October. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just need 2 minutes, and I'm amazed we ended just about on time because you never know with the mayor how many questions you were going to have, so this worked out. But if I could get Charity and Saidu, I just saw him. He's starting to walk away. Could you come up for a minute? I want to put a face with a name with a face. As you know, we've had a couple promotions here. Charity has been here how many years?
25, almost 26.
Almost 26 years. And she has many, many name tags here because she keeps all of her prior positions. Charity was our assistant director of nursing. She is now our director of clinical services. So she's taking Kathy's place, and we're so happy. And when Charity was promoted, she left a little hole there that is now filled with Saidu Kaba. Some of you may know Saidu. He's been our nursing supervisor for 7 years, and he has spoken at the Employee Appreciation Fund before. Very articulate. He's spoken for the nursing team. Saidu is now our assistant director of nursing. So now we have to fill his shoes, but it's all good. We love promotions, so I wanted to make sure you all had the face with the name. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the only other thing I want to mention is it's 4 o'clock somewhere, and that somewhere is at the Fillmore Lounge. We're having celebrity bartender Lisa Wallace, our director of supply chain, celebrating New Orleans with a hurricane. And we will have mocktails also, so please stop by. Thank you. Oh, does anyone have questions? I'm so sorry. No. Thank you.